Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to Lefties Losing It. We've got some weapon-grade Trump derangement syndrome antics coming up for you, but let's start in the UK, where saying just about anything against the leftist orthodoxy will see the police at your door. It may get you charged. They're jailing people for spicy, inflammatory tweets. Lucy Connolly is serving 31 months for a couple of anti-immigration posts. That's longer than some grooming gang members have received as far as prison terms. Talk about a two-tier justice system, which all brings me to Glastonbury and the orgy of hate and hysteria celebrated by a massive crowd of lefty simpletons. Here is some rapper and anti-British, anti-West Islamist supporting miscreant, part of a duo called Bob Villain. And watch as this rapper mocks Brits who want their country back.
Heard you want your country back. Shut the up. Heard you want your country back. You can't have that. The only place I know, stolen right under my nose. My ignorant scum, trying to lay claim to a land that ain't theirs.
And watch the crowd, a sea of pasty white, self-loading Brits cheering against their own country.
Heard you want your country back. You can't have that. Heard you want your country back. Shut the up.
And that same idiot crowd were happy to join in with genocidal chants about killing Israelis and ending the only Jewish state.
Free, free. Free, free. Aye, but have you heard this one though? Death, death to the IDF. 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 Hell yeah, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be, will be, inshallah.
And here are more privileged, almost uniformly white lefty misfits who have paid a lot of money to be a part of whatever this is. And if that wasn't bad enough, the crowd were treated to far-left loon and former Labor Party leader Jeremy Corbyn banging on about Donald Trump and building bridges, not walls. But isn't there a massive wall, a massive fence around the music festival to ensure only those with a valid ticket are allowed to enter to hear crap like this?
If you can see that far, look on the wall right over there that surrounds this wonderful festival. And there's a message on that wall for President Donald Trump. And you know what it says? Build bridges, not walls.
But they built a wall around the festival. They didn't build a bridge to allow anybody who wants to come. They built a fence to keep people out. Now, here is ageing DJ Slim Shady serving up dangerous levels of cringe. The bald little eunuch had a big screen featuring Donald Trump, and he and his sad little audience were giving the president the finger. I don't know if the Trump administration can recover from this. Now, here is a socialist proving yet again that the left is all about projection and really they operate without shame. Here is Bernie Sanders accusing the Republicans of being extremist and Stalinist.
The Republican Party has not just become a right-wing extremist party. In many cases, it's become like a Stalinist party, a cult of the individual.
I got to tell you, the chutzpah is off the charts with that dude. But here is Bernie Sanders getting an education. He went on the Joe Rogan show. Now, remember, Joe Rogan used to love Bernie, used to back him. But now I think he's seeing him clearly for the leftist clown that he is.
Was the poll incorrect?
Yeah, the poll was wrong. So what?
What about the conversation that they had with Kamala Harris where they edited the answers that she had?
60 Minutes has a sterling reputation for investigative journalism.
That's not investigative journalism if you change someone's answers. If you ask her a question and she comes with a rambling answer that doesn't make sense and you edit that out.
Suing media has the impact of intimidating media.
No, but it's not that. It's deceptive editing.
I don't know.
You give people a different perception of who this candidate is than reality. But that's not objective journalism. Would you agree with that?
I don't know that I agree with your analysis of it.
I think that's universally accepted that that's what they did.
The impact is clearly intimidation. He wants to defund public broadcasting. Why is that? Because they also would run critical stories of him.
They say things that are defamatory and factually incorrect. What other course does a person have other than a lawsuit?
And Joe Rogan also schooled Bernie, the socialist with 3 houses, the climate change warrior who takes private jets around the country. Joe schooled him on global warming.
You got to deal with this climate change issue. And I know that, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record.
First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's a surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but the scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue, and there's a lot of control, and that's a big part of this problem.
Now, here is thoroughly confused doom goblin Greta Thunberg, this time in Budapest, in a keffiyeh, marching for pride and misusing the word fascist.
Today I am joining thousands of people in Budapest, in Hungary, who are defying Viktor Orbán's desperate attempt to ban the Pride March. Pride is both a protest but also a celebration of love and who we are. This is yet another fascist attack on human rights, but you cannot ban love.
Yeah, why don't you try that in a Muslim country, Greta? How about you try it, I don't know, in Gaza or even the West Bank? You're not going to get far. Now let's have a look at socialist Zoran Mamdani, the likely next mayor of New York City. Here he is with actress Cynthia Nixon doing whatever this is.
Click. Click or click? Click.
And you may recall songstress and Lefty Losing It elder stateswoman Barbara Streisand blaming Donald Trump for making her fat. Yes, the president's powers are truly profound. Well, it's not just Babs who's overeating because of Donald Trump. Here is Rosie O'Donnell talking about how Trump's triumph saw her piling on the weight and hitting the bottle.
During his first go-round, it was very difficult, and I got myself into some bad places. I was very, very depressed. I was overeating. I was over-drinking. I was so depressed, Chris. I can't, it hurt my heart that America believed the lies about him, and then it broke my heart to be in a business that creates and sells those lies for profit. It was very heavy, to tell you the truth.
She wants you to think she's better now because she's fled to Ireland. But here she is just a few weeks ago with her delusional dreams about getting rid of Donald Trump. She thought it could happen perhaps even by June 14.
So upsetting everywhere you turn. It's really hard to believe that this man is the president of the United States. yet he is, and I'm just hoping that we can get him out as soon as possible, hopefully before June 14th. Now, I don't know that that's possible, but that's when he wants to have this massive $90 million military parade for himself.
The parade was for the military, Rosie, celebrating 250 years of service, and it was magnificent, you miserable fantasists. Now, here are more crazy folk who claim cutting NPR's funding, cutting PBS's funding, will end lives. What? And why do they always look like this? Now, the next scenes you're about to witness are not from New York or California or some other depraved blue state. This footage is from Pride events in the great state of Texas. And these events are apparently family friendly.
That's the way I like to head down, ass up. That's the way I like to.
Now to some CNN craziness. Let's hear from former Congressman Jamal Bowman. Remember that Democrat race baiter? Well, he's now on CNN claiming that black folks are suffering serious health issues because people are using the N-word.
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment.
Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Just unbelievable levels of race baiting lunacy there. Let's stick with CNN. They had some sobering news for their ever-diminishing audience. This needed a trigger warning for the lefty snowflakes because there's no way you can spin this data. It is historic. The fact is that despite the relentless fake news and media hysteria, Donald Trump is the most popular president with Republican voters ever. And that includes the great Ronald Reagan after he survived an assassination attempt. Grab some popcorn and enjoy this lefty rage bait, also known as facts.
So this isn't just Republicans who like Donald Trump. This is Republicans who love Donald Trump, and he's up like a rocket. Look at this. In July 2017, the strongly approved was 53%. That's pretty good. But look at where he is now. 63% of Republicans strongly approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing about 5 months into his presidency. Republicans love Donald Trump the way that Americans love Disney World. The bottom line is 63%. That is a huge base. And of course, it's just part of a Republican base in which about 90% of them overall approve of him, including the somewhat approves as well.
I mean, every politician would like this number here, especially to see it go up. How about compared to other presidents who were Republicans?
Yeah, it's history making. It's history making. What are we talking about here? So why don't we look back? We have all the presidents, Republican presidents, going back over the last 35, 36, 37 years. What are we talking about? GOP, who strongly approved 5 months in. Look at this. George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, 46%. Bush 43, 59. You see Trump, the first term, 53. But look at this. 63%. He beats all the other Republicans on the board here. And I was looking even back since Reagan. And get this, Donald Trump beats Ronald Reagan when it comes to the strongly approved 5 months. And of course, Reagan was coming off that high after that assassination attempt. So the bottom line is Donald Trump is making history with the Republican base. He is more beloved by this Republican base than any Republican base loved any GOP president 5 months in. It is history making.
Oh, I think I need a cigarette after all that. And here's some sobering news too for the rhinos, the Republican in name only members who think they'll reclaim the GPO from Donald Trump. Wrong.
You do not want to go against Donald Trump because the Republican base is with Donald Trump. And it's not just the polling. We actually have the data to show that the Republican base is with Donald Trump. The times Trump endorsees won the GOP primary for governor and congressional races. Look at this. 2024, 96%. 2022, 95%. 2020, 98%. The bottom line is this. 95% plus of the time the Trump-endorsed candidate wins in GOP primaries. And even in the cases where Donald Trump endorses a challenger to an incumbent, the majority of the time, that challenger wins. So Donald Trump is a winner in Republican primaries. You go against Donald Trump, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go in the grinder.
Sadly, the celebrities continue to beclown themselves by sharing their dim-witted musings on world events, domestic politics, really whatever they see trending on TikTok that morning. You know, I miss the days when we could put actors on a pedestal and delude ourselves into thinking they're really interesting and clever people. These days, they're all too eager to lecture the masses, and things go wrong when they go off script, when they start forming sentences not written by teams of professional writers. Then you get idiotic gibberish like this from Jason Bateman.
Do you think Trump would have gotten the same number of votes if the people who voted for him had access to or the curiosity to seek out and find the truth? Because they're not getting the truth over on Fox.
Oh, the sweet irony. A clearly clueless, brainwashed Hollywood clown bemoaning other people being misinformed. And fancy saying that to MSNBC's Nicolle Wallace, among the worst of the activists in the mainstream media. Let's not forget Wallace and the rest of MSNBC for 4 years relentlessly pushed the Russian collusion hoax, the fine people hoax, the suckers and losers hoax. They even fell for the Jussie Smollett hoax. They fell for that one hard. You'll find no dumber or more ill-informed viewer than those exposed to MSNBC, and obviously Jason Bateman fits that bill, because here he goes on a silly rant. Sounds like he wants to bring back Hillary Clinton's deplorable moment and attack more than half of America.
At what point, if ever, do you think the story would change from reporting on the outrageousness of Trump and his actions, his decisions, his words, and instead move to the people that have voted for him twice? And I know that goes back to the whole story of deplorables, and like as soon as that happened, everyone just backed off and don't ever talk bad about, you know, America and the 80 million. So, but he's never changed. Like, he's always been the same. He didn't do a 180 and dupe everybody when he got to the White House. It's the people that have put him there and then put him there again that really deserve a great deal of responsibility and a talking to. I'm sorry, and I say that with love. They are our neighbors, as I said before, and I know that they are, you know, deservedly aggrieved and whatnot. But there's another way to do it. There's somebody else in the Republican Party that can look after your issues. If it makes you sick to vote for a Democrat,
why won't you dumb rubes just vote for the Democrats or for a rhino? You know, one of those Republican in name only losers who governs like a Democrat. Did he really say all that and then add with love as he condemned half the country? What a hateful simpleton he is. You will find no better argument against actors being allowed to speak in public without a script than Jason Bateman. With a good script, he is delightful. He's got his boyish good looks, but then you hear that and wow. You know what? I can understand why the great Alfred Hitchcock insisted on treating actors like cattle. What did he say? I never said all actors are cattle. What I said was all actors should be treated like cattle. Yes. And I've got another example of actors making fools of themselves tonight, but let's just focus on MSNBC's Nicolle Wallace for a second, because she is scared, she is gutted, and she's full of anguish for, you guessed it, gangbangers being deported to El Salvador.
I wish I could stop thinking about these guys being scared in El Salvador. And then I was somewhere. I was in Westchester. It's usually a baseball trip that has me. I don't know what I was doing, but we stopped to get something to eat, and I saw the paid ads that Homeland Security was doing in front of the deportees who were now prisoners in at CCOT, and I was gutted. And I think I'm sometimes scared by how much anguish I feel over how they're treating human beings.
I don't recall her expressing this anguish for Laken Riley or Rachel Morin or Jocelyn Nungari, no. And I don't think we've forgotten this moment yet, have we, Nicole? One of the sickest takes of 2025, and that's really saying something. This is what Wallace said about cancer survivor DJ Daniel after Donald Trump appointed him an honorary US Secret Service agent.
But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Oh, dear God, I still can't believe she did that. Even her fellow MSNBC anchors were looking on aghast. If you watch the full clip, even they're wondering what Nicolle Wallace is on about. But let's get back to the actors insisting on forming complete sentences without the benefit of scriptwriters. Here is Charlize Theron giving a lecture. It's short on facts, but big on hyperbole and fear-mongering.
Immigration policy is destroying the lives of families, not criminals. Women's rights are becoming less and less every day. Queer and trans lives are increasingly being erased, and gender-based violence is on the rise.
And now to some hateful lefties who'd rather have a mass killer in their country than a woman in a MAGA cap.
Rather have in your country this lady right here in a Make America Great Again hat, or this man right here? If you had to pick one.
And I don't know either of them, but I'll say two because I don't like the hat.
You don't like that? Who would you rather have in your country, number 1 or number 2?
Number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2? Number 2?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, is there a third option where they're both not there?
Just 1 or 2?
2.
All right. Even though this is Osama bin Laden.
Well, I mean, he's dead, so...
Hypothetically.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I'm not a fan of traitors or fascists.
Now to our favourite trans activist, and this time he's triggered by a Bible verse on his fast food packaging.
Really don't like that it put a Bible verse on my food without my consent. I don't want to eat John 3:16. Get your John 3:16 out of here.
Here's an idea, don't eat there, but that's an activist, the content creator who calls himself Lily Tino, and he goes around exposing waiters who misgender him. He even did it at a Disney eatery.
The bottom is from Thailand.
Coconut bread from Thailand.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Ma'am.
No, sorry, my bad. And the middle one is from India.
Makes me want to immediately leave. Because I no longer feel safe here. It's oh, my guard now has to be up. I'm not going to enjoy this bread as much because my guard is up. We should be able to go places and not have to worry. I don't think I really want this bread tower, actually. I think I'd rather have the check, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the training. We're supposed to say friend or just not use gendered language. It's a pretty big thing that Disney has done. Nothing was wrong with bread. I just don't want it anymore. Just because they apologize doesn't mean she doesn't feel sad or offended. Yeah. Exactly, right? If you've accidentally ever hurt someone and say, I'm so sorry, it was an accident, do you expect them to be oh, it was an accident? Of course, no problem whatsoever. All of that hurt is now undone. That's not how it works.
Are you kidding me? All that because he was called Sir once from what we saw. He wants wait staff everywhere to change how they serve people to fit in with his lifestyle. And I wonder if he apologised to the women he photographed in a women's bathroom at Disney. He got quite the backlash for that one. So he's now doing what he does best, playing the victim and taking a break from content creation. We will miss his input on this segment. Now let's have a look at a politician doing it right, exposing the utter ugliness, hypocrisy and, yes, lunacy of the left. Here is Republican Brandon Gill, and he's questioning Diane Yentl here, the president of the National Council of Nonprofits.
Are you a racist?
I'm not a racist.
You're not a racist. Particularly interesting because according to one of your affiliate charities, under your nonprofit umbrella, denial of racism constitutes covert white supremacy. Are you a covert white supremacist?
Sir, I'm here to talk about the essential work that nonprofits
Are you a covert white supremacist?
Can I talk about the work that nonprofits do in
No,
your
I'm
district?
asking you if you're a covert white supremacist, which according to one of your own organizations, again, denial of racism constitutes covert white supremacy. Would you like to answer the question?
I don't know what the question is.
Just incredible stuff. Damn them with their own words. These people can't even play by their own stupid rules. And watch as this leftist continues to flounder, refusing to answer the simple question, are you a covert white supremacist?
So you refuse to answer whether you are a covert white supremacist?
I am here to talk about the essential work that nonprofits do. If you'd like to ask me a question,
I am utterly
about
dumbfounded.
nonprofits
You are on
in your
record right now, and you will
district
not
or
say
throughout
that
the
you are not a
country.
covert white supremacist?
I don't have a definition in front of me. I haven't looked at the definition. I'm not going to answer a question about my personal views. I'm here to talk about the work of nonprofit organizations.
I want to give you one more chance to do this. Are you a covert white supremacist?
Why are we so off track from the topic?
I'm asking you a very straightforward question.
I've heard your question. Thank you, sir.
And you're not going to answer whether you are a covert white supremacist.
I would like to answer questions about the work of nonprofit organizations. Thank you.
That is really, really astounding. I can answer very directly that I am not a covert white supremacist, and I imagine all of my colleagues can as well.